Welcome to yet another episode of Success Principles by Successful Principles, a parenting project. They say that a tiny pin to a gigantic plane right across the world, we have everything. We have a degree for just about everything. But when it comes to parenting, there is a lot of hit and trial that we do. And while hit and trial is not a challenge, but at the same time, while we're trying, not being sure of what is being done and what can be the consequences, sometimes we end up making some damages which are irreparable. And keeping that in mind, we bring out this series together wherein different educators from across the country and some parts of the world, they come out and they share their experiences because they have seen parents up and close. And with their experience, we want parents like you to probably the best version of yourself and probably enjoy this cherished relationship all the more. Every parent, every single parent wants their children to be happy, successful, and good human beings. Well, this is the demand that we have of our kids. How do we really go about creating them? How do we really go about creating happy, successful, and good human beings? For the ones who know me, my name is Kamalneet Singh. For the ones who don't know me, my name is still Kamalneet Singh. The name doesn't change. I'm a 3-time TEDx speaker and author of a book titled The Extraordinary Kids and a Changepreneur. I lead a company called Promise. It's a social emotional learning company, and we work with kids so that they are ready for the real exam called life. And I'm very, very happy that on this show, on this episode, we have somebody, very, very, very extraordinary. We have a fantastic guest with us whose experience would give you a lot of insight, whose experience would help you become even a better parent. I know you already are a great parent, but they say that there is always a scope of improvement, and the glass can never be full. We have somebody whose experience will give you a new dimension to look at this whole idea of parenting. And by now you would be wondering, who do we really have? So we have with us the respected Miss R. Meenakshi Madam from Vaels Group of Schools. She's the director with Vaels Group of Schools. And Madam, welcome to this episode. And it's an honor and a pleasure for us to have you with us on this episode. Now, before we dive in, and I know that all the parents out there waiting to learn as much as they can. But before that happens, let me give you a little brief about our guest on the show today. So, Madam started off with BSc, MSc from Delhi University, and a firm believer of education, pursued further B.Ed and M.Ed from Annamalai University. Did not stop there. Went on to do her MPhil from Alagappa University. A lot of academic qualifications, as a part of her hat. Now, she's somebody who also did Cambridge International Diploma for Teachers and Trainers, CIDTT as they call it, 2005 from Cambridge University. Program leader, Cambridge Professional Development Center since 2007, Vaels International School in Jambakka. As a student, has been a winner from a very young age, won the All India Postgraduate Scholarship 1977, 1979. Now, that's the batch we're talking about. First state rank and second national rank holder in the diploma examination under computer software by Aptech, has been a member of amateur drama troupe at New Delhi, won many prizes for dramatics, music, elocution, etc. So she's based out of Chennai, but for a lot of you, including me, I wasn't aware of the fact that she was born and brought up in Delhi. And she's somebody who has won prizes in dramatics, music, elocution. Now, talking about her career path, she started off as a lecturer in the year 1979 in Delhi University, and then there was no looking back. She progressed and climbed up the ladder with every year that added to her career path. Today, she's amongst one of the very powerful, very impressive women doing a lot of significant work. And currently, as I shared, is the director at WeSkill, Director Curriculum Research and Development, Vaels Group of Schools. Academic achievements, if I talk about, in fact, I'll be very honest, time would fall short if I go on to talk about all her achievements, but the major ones worth mentioning, always needs to, be shared with you. She was recognized as one of the top 20 women leaders in education industry 2019 by Higher Education Review Bangalore. She received National Leadership Award by School Stars for Leadership in Curriculum Education 2019, has also received many, many, many awards and recognized not only nationally, but internationally as well, from very reputed organizations like International School Award Leader by British Council. Madam, it is indeed an honor and a pleasure for us to have you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamalneet, and it has reciprocating my gratitude, and I also feel equally honored to be present in this platform. And I only hope that few of my strategies and few of my knowledge, skills, and understanding of, mostly I've been talking about upbringing of children as happy, then successful, and very independent, and very making them global citizens, very sensitive and responsible citizens. I only hope my little bit of contributions in the field of education, moving around with all the stakeholders, would definitely help this session make it very worthwhile, really very fruitful for the listeners, and so also for your organization for having honored me to be, talking to you. I would not say that this COVID, I always say the COVID is creating opportunities for virtual integration and development.
Fantastic. That's a good one.
So this is how all of us have learned over a period of time, and it's in a jiffy we get connected, and sharing of ideas, collaboration, all that happens. But that little empathy also, I feel, can be acquired even if there is a screen just in front of us. It cannot be that we have to be physically present, but it can happen even with the screen separating us in a virtual platform.
That's a very powerful message. I think we can develop and acquire empathy even if you're across and probably technologically connected on a common screen.
Yes.
Wait, so madam, you're sitting on decades and decades of experience, and I know that in both our professions we get to meet a lot of parents, and we all know deep down, on both the sides, that every parent, I was sharing earlier, wants their kids to be really happy, successful, and a good human being. Now, what I'm very curious about is that success is a very broad term. It can probably mean different things to different people. Now, how would what does success mean according to you? How would you define it?
See, as you say, the very concept of success is a large of huge amount of content in it, right? The content can be as small as being able to open a pen lid and closing it also neatly. So it depends. It starts from as small things as possible that would make me feel as if I have achieved something very great in my life. So it doesn't really matter whether it is like getting the topmost rank in IAS examination, or somewhere I'm amassing wealth and I'm going to have the biggest bungalow. It's not that at all. It is how I instill those small little values in a child. You say you spoke about happy, successful, and
good human beings.
Good human beings, happy human beings at the end of the day. Right. I think in the field of education, I always make it a point that there has to be some kind of, the tested and tried methods at one end, and the not so tested and tried out methods, which will come out as innovations. And I call this as vintage innovations, Vintage is something, vintage innovation.
Okay.
And as you say, there can be so many apps cropping up, and in the world of machine language and artificial intelligence, success really doesn't mean that if a child is able to do the coding or the child is able to use all the apps, he is highly successful in life. No, it is never like that. It is the kind of soft skills at the end of the day, you call it as the, empathy, the collaboration, the sharing, that is very important. And that all this begins, I feel, from home. And teaching this child that it is not all these that is measured as success. Then what is it that is going to be looked at success for any child or for that matter, any individual, if the child has to be brought up in that culture with those moral values instilled, then I think a lot depends on the parents in instilling what success is really all about. The child should be able to make out that even to open a page to close it, or to organize things on a table, or even to put something back in place after the child uses something. It can be as simple as this, or folding his or her clothes responsibly and putting it back in the almirah. After coming back from school, probably the child puts the shoes back in the rack, the bag at the right place, or the child doesn't do at all, doesn't matter. But slowly the child starts learning to put the things at the right place. There is a saying that everything has got a place for its own. It has a place, right? So I can't be putting the shoes in the kitchen rack. It can't happen. So the child has to slowly learn. And when the child accomplishes this, the child has to feel that I have done something right. And for a child, for example, even as a parent, something might be right for me. The same thing can be wrong for another parent. See, there is nothing as the right and the wrong. It's all the yardstick, the values that you attach, the core moral principles and values that anybody would say, yes, I am in the right path, right? So I think this brings in a lot. It's an incremental progress for me in doing something better. It can be as simple as I told you, even washing my plates and putting it back, or laying the table, or even, putting the bed properly, like many children don't do that. Or it's like, finishing the work on time, those who have not been doing, and the child suddenly realizes that no, I should be able to finish the work, and the child is finishing the work. That is an incremental progress. So success relates to the person, but it would be better if there are moral values and principles, which I feel should begin from home. And parents play a major role in telling them what happiness is all about, what success is about, and what it is to be a good human being. So there is a yardstick which differs from person to person, right? So I think a lot depends on how these values and traditions, and India being a country where we are known for this rich tradition and culture of respecting the elders. I don't mean to say that you should be listening to whatever your parents say, but then the little bit of mutual respect, the empathy, then, that little care, and then the patient listening, all these are small little attributes, I think will make anybody more responsible right from the young age. And the child develops a self-identity, and the child will definitely feel that there is success in what I do.
Brilliant. I think that's a brilliant definition of success. And I like your sense of humor. And you said that there's a place for everything, right? And I was smiling listening to you, because when you gave that example, that you come back from your school and you fold your t-shirt or you fold your shirt and put it at the right place, or you put your shoes at the right place. I was smiling thinking that a lot of parents, they kind of complain about the fact that my child comes back home and just about everything is a mess. And I think even if that is done, all the parents out there today, I think you have a new yardstick to look at, an incremental success. And I like the word incremental, because sometimes I think we kind of go by that illusion that success has to be something which is pretty huge. It can be incremental and simple little things. And all the parents out there, with Madam mentioning that, parents have a huge role. I'll put it this way, the way they say that charity begins at home, also conscious parenting and the right role modeling also begins at home. So with that, I know that the pressure increases of a parent. Madam, listening to us, I think the pressure is increasing for them, but I think that's how it's going to be. But yes, I think pressure taken now would reap fruits that you will cherish for life. Now, tell me something, Madam, with your experience, all these parents, all of them out there and the ones watching, they want their kids to be successful, though you gave a definition of success. Now, what does it take for a child to be successful in the real world of it, in the real world? What does it take?
See, as parents, if the child knows that, I think over a period of time, it all begins in understanding the abilities of the children. And the children also are taught to identify that I am good at this, I am liking to do this, I have more interest in this. So parents mostly what they do, as an example, I tell you, for example, if there is a maths examination happening and the child has scored low marks in maths, what will be the tendency of the parents? And the child plays tennis so well, the child is invariably not able to perform in mathematics. The parents immediately, they will look out for a maths teacher, for a tuition. But as a parent, I have to look out to find out a good tennis coach for my son. This will be the simplest answer. This will be the simplest answer to identify, be with the child, motivate the child. And in the process of tennis, the child is going to learn to count mathematics, to play. The child will also develop an interest in learning a little bit of swing and little bit of, those angular movements, and holding it with pressure physics is going to be learned. So if as a parent and the teacher also plays a vital role in identifying this, and I always say it's a joint effort of the parent and the teacher in holding the hands of the children, in identifying all these small little potentials, and then take them through that, hey, you're good at this, come on, you'll be able to do this. And that kind of motivation will happen only with parents, but they have to be firm at the same time. You call it as, different types of parenting thing, but then I have to be firm, I have to be affectionate. Then I give opportunities for the children to express, even at a young age. Allow them to blabber, allow them to explore, allow them to talk, and then you indulge in a conversation and saying, hey, do you think we were right or you were right? Indulge in those little kind of conversations whenever you have specific time to be spent together. That is where the collaboration begins at home also, where you feel, yes, I can approach my father for something, I can approach my mother, I can approach my brother. They look out for these kind of acceptances even at an early age, right? So this kind of acceptance would definitely help them not to fall a prey later in the peer group pressure. That is another component. With the age, the peer group pressure, they fall into all kinds of acts that would, make them accepted by the peer. And if the parent is also neglecting, they will go only with the peer group that's going to accept them. So these are the things that get pushed to that extreme. So let it not happen till then, till that age. But then right from a young age, if the child is able to perform and the parents are able to identify the talents and the teacher says there is something that needs to be improved, it is a joint effort rather than ridiculing the child and then saying, why you are not studying, why you are not doing that. But then I think the teachers also play an important role in telling them the strategies of trying out the ways to at least, push the child to do better than what the child was doing. Once again, I'm bringing in, it's called a progress report in a school. If I'm not able to write a little incremental progress, why should I have a progress report at school? Why should I call a parent on a PTM day and say, your child has been not doing well, he's doing this, he's doing that, then why should I call? No, I should be able to put that in such a way that, come on, what can be done together? Then comes the socio-emotional components of the happenings at home. I get to know. All this happens when I play the role of a mentor. The teacher has to play the role of a mentor. The teacher has to play the role of a friend, or the parents have to play the role of being, a friend at home at different ages, but with little firmness and with little affection. I think they will identify what needs to be done, what I'm good at, and how can I approach and encourage all these small little accomplishments that the children do, and let there not be too much of praise also. We call it as a theory of behaviorism, where as a parent, I need to know when to stop that. Giving that, I'm going to give you a lollipop today. If you do this, get you a Cadbury's chocolate. If you perform this, I'll get you this. But I can do that, but not as a perennial rewarding feature. Even as teachers, they should know when to stop awarding them at what stage, when to make them more responsible. And so also at home, that's why I'm saying I have to be firm, I have to be affectionate, tell them the hard facts of life, and tell them how important it is for anybody to be a useful citizen or a useful person at home also. He may be not doing anything. Even by keeping quiet, he may be contributing so much. So I should not ridicule a child by saying, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do that. No. But then motivate. Then he will know every time he is going to say that. Teacher also, if the teacher is going to be ridiculing the child, one time will come, this teacher will never recognize anything that I do. This teacher will always ridicule me. What if I don't do? Same thing I have to listen to. So this is the kind of tendency, but I would want this to be recognized by all the people around the child, so that the child again becomes happy, successful, and a beautiful human being surrounded by good people. And that is also a knack and a tact of helping a child to be surrounded by good people. So all these components play, a sort of a cyclical effect in, triggering the psychological thinking processes of the child. And then, of course, little philosophically, the parents also not, they have to think philosophically. With the innovation, I told you, vintage innovation, the philosophy also plays a lot of role. And education these days has to be subjective and objective.
It's very
we just stop with objective.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. True. In fact, when you said, when you made a few points, I was listening very carefully, and I could probably you gave a few traits of a parent, that makes a difference in how these kids show up. And I think I was listening to you. You said, a parent has to be firm. So to all the parents out there, this is going to come in handy for you. So a parent has to be firm, at the same time affectionate, at the same time when there is a mistake, rectification by the parent and helping the child rectify is also very important. And at the same time, when a child is probably feeling a little low, you motivate them. So I think, madam, we have come out with an acronym. We can call it FARM, F-A-R-M, firm, affectionate, rectify, and then, motivate when required, So we have a farm philosophy by Meenakshi madam available. And all the parents out there, start being farmers and start using the farm philosophy. And that will really make a difference. In fact, another thing that you did mention was, I'm in the awe of the example that you gave. That was spot on. That if you're scoring low on mathematics and you're doing well in tennis, our tendency would be to hire a mathematics coach or a tutor. Whereas what you said, that the thing to do at that moment is to hire a tennis coach. I think that for me hits the bullseye. That was classic. And all the parents out there, I know that we caught you in the middle of the thinking. I know that the general tendency would be to look for a maths coach, whereas early identification of strengths would help you make better decisions. And that's what madam is suggesting, that early identification of strengths can really make a difference how the kid would eventually show up. Now, you have met, literally thousands of parents, literally. Now, with your experience, what do you see as some of the non-supportive, patterns amongst parents?
One is, being very indifferent. They are worried about their own performances and reaching profiles in their organizations. Come what may, they don't bother. They dump the children at school and they think that it is the responsibility of the school. They just don't interfere. They don't bother. They don't, like it shows. It is visible in their, even the responses. I would say responses, and sometimes not bothering to reply, not even bothering to respond in the communications that we send through physically or through the social media. They don't involve themselves in any of the, messages that would want to. I always used to say that if you are not going to look into the messages, if you're not going to be going through the social media or WhatsApp, you're going to miss out on something very important. How I used to tell them, though there could be a thing about, helping the child to progress on some behavioral issue or some academic performance. But I would tell the parent that one day, you never know, that there can be a message stating your son has performed so well in this sports or has performed so well in this art competition. He has bagged the biggest prize. You're going to miss out on that also and not attend the function. If you're going to be irresponsible like that, you will not even know that your son has been doing so well, and you're going to miss out on all these little moments which will really make the child feel happy that the parents are there to be, supporting him when there is a victory happening around him. I think that is also one of the measures of success. When I am successful, I need to be surrounded by people whom I feel should be with me. If they are not there, then that success is no success at all.
That's hollow, I think. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's hollow. So it's like some parents are totally not bothered about anything, and some, of course, are like helicoptering parent. Always, they move on top and say, what's happening, don't do this, don't go do that, don't go there. Why did you do this? Why did you do this? And it ends up with a frustration. And of course, that kind, anything I do, either there is a too much of pampering by mother or father, but there has to be this kind of an adjustment depending on the situation. If at one stage the father is little rude or father is little adamant, I think the mother has to be supportive. It can't be that both can be like, either too supportive or too, giving, they don't even exercise any authority or control over the children at any time. I think then too the children are left astray. But there has to be a supplementing and complementing role of the mother and the father, and for that matter, those members who are there at home. Even the members staying in a joint family, they play a huge role, not only the parents. These days, let me tell you, the parents are taking up the task of bringing up the children as something, a huge, what do I say?
Burden.
A burden. That's what. They should take the pleasure of raising the children. That is the word I'm using. The small little pleasure of raising the children. There will be ups and downs. There will be lows. But then it's a kind of how I tackle the situation that I'm going to have. जिस परिस्थिति में मैं हूं ना, वो परिस्थिति में मैं क्या सोचती हूँ, कैसे सोचती हूँ, वो परिस्थिति अगर मेरे सिर के ऊपर बैठ गई तो मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकती. I have to take, hold of the paristhiti and then that situation, and then I can find a solution for that. So there can be a solution for everything. So then I need to act accordingly. And even by mistake, that's why I'm saying if something, wrong has happened from my end as a mother or a father, again, I use the word reflective practitioner. I have to reflect. If there has been a mistake from my end as the mother, I should really apologize to the child the next day. There is no question of, ये तो बच्चा, ये बेटा है, लड़का छोटा था, इसको क्या पता है, कुछ नहीं पता है. No, but then that is the magnanimity of the mother or the father in even, asking the child, hey, no, I made a mistake. I should not have scolded or shouted at you like that. Why I shouted? It is because of this. There is always a reasoning. If that is convincing to the children, they will understand. If there is a convincing reasoning, it's very simple. Like there are parents who pamper the children. They get everything, whatever the child needs, they get everything without even telling the hard facts of life. But then they should be told that earning money, it could have been done easily for some parents, but not so for everybody. And they should bring in a little sensitivity even at that young age. And these days in social media, you come to see so many such videos which instill values in young minds. Yeah. Many advertisements do that, for that matter, because children love watching small little, plays and the sports. Even amidst that, even this cricket lovers who would have watched this cricket, this IPL cricket, they keep showing about how these great cricketers have come up in their lives amidst the odds. But it also says, इसमें ground का क्या है? Ground बड़ा है या छोटा? इसमें क्या है? Stamina है, stamina में है सब कुछ. Ground छोटा हो या बड़ा, इसमें कोई नहीं है. I need that stamina. Yeah. So that stamina I have to instill both mentally and physically in a child. So how do I role model? If I am not, I have to correct myself as a parent. Correct. That is where I said the reflection is just not for the teacher. It's for anybody. I have to correct myself. How do I move with my parents? How does my child see my grandparents at home? All of us are in a joint family. How do I behave with my father? That's a role model. That's why I said it starts with parent. I don't have to have an elaborate class teaching the values, but जो लड़का है ना क्लास में वो देखता है मम्मी कैसे बिहेव करती हैं अपने फादर के साथ, मदर के साथ, चलो मैं भी ये कर लूं थोड़ा सा. And that kind of a humble that humility and humbleness, it will pave a long way for the child to face success in life. Then the child will know what is a yardstick, how to measure success, how to live happily. If there is a mutual respect and understanding, I think it will dissolve all the misunderstanding. But we have to give enough scope, whether it is a young child or whether it is an adolescent boy or whether it is an elderly grandparent at home or the mother or the father or anybody for that matter. The child has to learn. It is the question of adaptability and adjustability. So a lot depends on just not being only authoritative every time or not totally involved, but I should be, once again, I'm coming back to the same statement I started. I have to, authoritativeness also should be there. Involve them in all the other, small little expenses that you do at home. Give them that responsibility of maintaining small accounts at home. Tell them that today is the birthday party. You are the event manager. Come on, you do this. Give them that responsibility. Yeah. That is where the parent should exercise making the children responsible. And they become engaged, they become creative, and they become innovative, and they become reflective in the process. Hey, मैंने कुछ गलत कर दिया आज इस planning में, कल से मैं ठीक कर दूंगा मम्मी. So these are the attributes I think that parents have to learn to instill in themselves to be role models and also in the children.
Brilliant. You give a lot of facts. In fact, all the parents out there, if it is your son's or daughter's birthday party coming up, here is your to-do. Here's your assignment. Let your kids, let your son, let your daughter manage his or her own birthday party. And she's the event manager for any event that's coming up. And I love the idea that not only that they would give them a sense of how do you organize, it would also give them a sense of the budget. It would also give them a sense of delegation. It would also give them a sense of, what all has to happen and a lot of responsibility in a very fun oriented way. I think that's a great idea that you have given. And you spoke about two ideas that, all the parents out there, बहुत ध्यान से सुनना है आपने ये वाली बात, because, I when you said, the helicopter parents and all the helicopter parents out there, we don't have to point, if you are one of those helicopter parents who would, probably get into everything and anything. And I think I would call it intrusion. If you're too intrusive, bacha bhag jayega, he'll be like, my parents are after my life. And I think the other extreme Madam spoke about was, if you're too carefree, jo ho raha hai hone do. If that happens, I think deep down a child, he or she might not say that, but he or she might somewhere deep down feel that my parents don't care. And I think so you'll have to, don't be on the extremes, either be too carefree, not bothered about anything, or on the other side, too intrusive. Doesn't work. And I think role modeling is another thing that you spoke about that makes a lot of difference. Now moving forward, I know that with your experience, you can give them 100 messages. But what would be, I know this is going to be a little difficult for you, but I'm going to ask you something, and you'll have to probably pull out your best from the nest. If you have to give them top 3 parenting suggestions, top 3 parenting ideas, what 3 would you choose?
Top 3 parenting ideas is, one is, as I told you, that you give them that sense of belongingness first. Sense of belongingness, ki main hu na, that kind of a feeling, number 1, right?
I like the dialogue, main hu na.
And any kind of, I think this emphasizes that there is somebody for me to listen to even if I make mistakes. So that sense of belongingness. And second would be to have that kind of, mindfulness, we say. When I say mindfulness, it is the space between the respect and the responses reaction and the responses. That is the mindfulness. Sometimes we react to a situation, but then mostly we say we have to respond. So the space between that reaction and that response, the response, we call that as a mindfulness. These
You know,
days,
I haven't heard of a better explanation and a definition of mindfulness than what you just said. Kudos. The
yeah,
gap between reaction and
yeah,
response.
this is the gap. So that is the mindfulness when I become conscious. So this can also be slowly incorporated into the child's learning system. And the child becomes conscious enough to know that I am responsible. That responsibility has to be instilled in a child, which is very, very important. That responsive citizen is ultimately the happy citizen. If I'm going to be responsive to others also, this is my third message. Responsible and responsive to others is what is going to make you a happy human being, a successful human being, and of course, the human being who is going to be accepted by everybody around. It is the acceptance of people around that makes you feel the strength that mehuna, and that, I think even watching movies sometimes can be beautiful messages. It's powerful people make powerful places. Please take it
Fantastic.
from me as the last message. Powerful people make powerful places, or powerful people make the place powerful.
Oh, brilliant. I think that's a fantastic message. So from Madam's Nest, the top three that come to us, the first one is, the belongingness, mehuna, I like that dialogue, mehuna. So all the parents out there watching, I think you can probably raise your hands and actually say that, mehuna, but only in a positive way, not when your child ends up doing something wrong and you say mehuna. So that can't happen. And the second one was, I think that definition, that explanation should make it to the dictionary, I think. Mindfulness, the gap between reaction and response. So belongingness, responsiveness, and third also being, when you said that you have to be, powerful people make powerful places, and probably powerful people make the place powerful in a very positive connotation. And responsiveness, I think the third one you also spoke about, response and responsiveness. I think crucial messages out there for all the parents. So mehuna, and responsiveness, and then mindfulness. Now, last 2 years, they have been different. They have not been usual. We see that post-pandemic, there are challenges in the social and emotional development of the children. And it has been seen across. It's a global phenomenon that has been observed, and even WHO has been talking about it. What would your suggestions or ideas be to deal with this?
You mean to say in terms of the
social emotional? Yeah.
I think much needs to be looked into now, as things are falling into little not so-called the new normalcy. I think children have started coming back to the school, and there have been instances where the kindergarten children have not even seen the school premises. That has been the situation. And when we see them this new academic year coming to the school and collecting, they all have the fun of collecting new books, textbooks, and everything. And they come with the josh and smile. And I could still remember one of the children asking the parent, "Mama, where is the school, Mama?" Standing very much in the premises. The child is asking, "Where is the school, Mama?" So that has been they do not know anything beyond the gadgets now for such young children. At least for the others who had been to school, I can say it will take some time for them to get connected. But then, of course, they will start using the tools for the betterment of whatever you say, collaboration for good things, then communication for better empowerment. So all these things can happen in a virtual platform. You're not going to do away with those also. But apart from that, in young children, even now, there are children who say, we're not used to the blackboard. The very first week of our observations, we have seen, the child tells the teacher, "Can you please zoom the board, ma'am? Can you please enlarge the board?" The child doesn't even know that it is physically being held. So there are children who are now pushed to the extremes of learning. You understand? Previously, it used to be, I always say in the learning sector, in a normal heterogeneous group or classroom learning, it would be some are pushed where they need help. And some are pushed to be totally independent, the high performers, and the average would be more in the middle, right, in a classroom. But now we find that with so many lapses and frequent, opening of the classes, even towards the senior secondary grades, and when the online exams are held, people found ways and means of copying and then getting 100 out of 100. When it came into reality of coming to the school and taking a physical offline examination, we could really say, then we could see they were all scoring 1-digit mark. The situation is this. I'm talking about what happens in an established school also. Think about other rural areas and other schools in our country. I'm not majorly talking about our own school. And there has been a total chaos in even knowing what the child knows, even to identify that are the teachers able enough, capable enough to tell the parents that this much needs to be pushed. Now, this is where the child has to be lifted up when there has to be a holistic development of a child, leave alone giving something for the child to read and write in the examination. As you see, a major portion of this, H heart, that affective domain has been affected so badly. So that component has to be looked into. So I feel that a lot of time will take for any parent or teacher to bring them back into that little normalcy, but we can't do away with this. It's very unpredictable future. It is so complicated. Future is complicated. Future is unpredictable. In such a situation, then I have to bring in this little empathy on them and help the children to empower themselves with their own self-identity, self-esteem, little bit of confidence being instilled in them. And then, of course, they have to be a little more attentive to what is happening around enough and taken as a priority by the adolescent group of children or the children going to the universities or the colleges. There has to be a lot of awareness that has to be brought into them in terms of, how there can be a sustained development in their own learning processes. Then in the process, little bit about the existing situation of our own environment, the local environment, how that can be enhanced a little with a sense of responsibility. How do I commit to such kind of transformations? And then how do I transform myself in the process? That is very important. But all this will happen beyond, of course, now the teachers also have to play the role of the mother and father. I think I always say that the teachers are the first parents, the first mother, right? Now they have to, all these days, parents were playing the role of the teacher at home during the COVID time. They were playing a major role of the teacher also.
Correct.
Now the teachers have to play that, walk that extra mile to play the role of parents at school and bridge that, build up that rapport and the bonding, which is very important rather than the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic is no longer that. They have to be resilient and they have to become more confident and they have to be instilled with inputs from the teacher end that now the teacher has to say, hum hai na, not sort of main hu na, hum hai na aapke saath.
I think that's a beautiful transition from, main hu na to hum hai na. And I think it's a classical approach wherein we are now looking at a partnership. It always used to be, but I think the role has become even more intense. It comes with more responsibility now, and the teachers are now switching to the roles of mothers and fathers. And I think to all the parents out there, through the channel and through the conversation is happening, you'll always have to remember that as a parent, we end up, I'm a father too. We end up handing our one child or 2 kids or at max 3 kids these days, but it's the teacher who ends up handling about 35-40 kids in one single period, and she goes on to lead 5-6 of such periods that if you look at the entire day. And kudos to all the teachers out there. And when these teachers, they receive a lot of affection and love and respect from the parents, they give that kind of love, affection, and respect to the kids as well, further multiplied. So that's probably one thing. Now, I wanted to speak to you about, now modern education methods, things are changing, technology is coming in, and there is a lot of focus on inculcating and building life skills in children that will help them, early in life, so that they can move on to become what they really want to. Now, what would be your top three life skills that can help children early in life that will make them stand out when they really go out in the real world? What would be your top three life skills?
Life skills, as I told you, would be to the ability to adapt to any situation, right? My thing is the ability to adapt, adjust, and act accordingly. The three A's.
So that's a AAA battery coming your way, the AAA battery, right? So
AAA battery.
AAA battery.
AAA should be rechargeable.
Yeah, rechargeable.
Rechargeable. Time. So it doesn't like natural death. Yeah.
True.
It's the question, what is education at the end of the day? I should be able to, if I tune my mind, I should be able to live even in the moon. But that kind of an attitude, the ability, the adaptability, and all that comes together, I think it's total A for me. It's A star and all A's. Yeah. And the real A's. A's in playing cards, the A's. He wins. The triple A's wins. So that is the ACE, ACE.
And the best part is that rechargeable, right? Rechargeable. So adaptability, attitude, ability, and act according to the situation. I think that definitely stands as the top life skills that every child needs to learn today, because life, sometimes doesn't work in sequence. Life doesn't work according to the way we would want it to unfold. Let's say if we are looking at life to turn from A to Z, life can unfold Z to A. It can be a very different order of things. Now, given that situation, all the students out there, they have dealt with so many things, and they still deal with so many things. There is a lot that they think. There is a lot that they express. There is a lot at times they don't express. What would be your message to all the students out there? What would be your key message to all the students?
For me, I believe enjoy and accomplish.
Enjoy and?
Accomplish.
Accomplish. Got that.
Enjoy and accomplish.
I think that's a very crisp message and a powerful one, that not just accomplish, but enjoy, and not just keep enjoying, also accomplish. I can see the depth in the message there. So all the parents out there, I think the focus, and all the students out there, focus on accomplishing and also enjoying. I think two important parameters. Now, I was going through your profile, and when we got to know that this is we'll be having you on board for this series, and we saw how you studied zoology also. You were a lecturer, and you probably led a lot of training programs. For you, the learning was going on continuously, and to a point wherein you have held several positions across different verticals. It has been truly a successful journey. Now, diving a little personal into your journey, what are some mantras that you followed that helped you in becoming successful?
For me, it was always like I told you, if I have to achieve something, I will. It's not that it's always I put in 100% of my efforts, and somehow I have a strong faith in my own abilities. Right? I know that if I improve, I'll be able to do that. Kind of a sense of faith in my own abilities, and even as a learner, I learn right from scratch. Even if I say I do not know, I don't hesitate to ask anybody for help. That is one thing I always like within myself. I say that I do not know this. Now you teach me this. Even as a principal or whichever position I am into, I am an open learner always. I say, "Nay, come on, teach me this." And I have the thirst for learning. And I'm sure that if I'm going to learn that from scratch, that's going to make me also feel, hey, this is where I'm learning. And this is where, hey, I'm now better than what I was yesterday. And now this triggers a lot of, enthusiasm within me. And that makes me a little more creative also in the process. I become a little more creative and enthusiastic. And this keeps me engaged in my journey of learning all through, and also enjoy, like basically, that I like rhythm, dance, music. That's why I say in education, never leave out music, art, and rhythm. It is a part of that. You should never leave out on these things, and it has to be a component of learning. Where there is a music and rhythm, I think that will be the heartbeat of your journey, and your journey becomes a beautiful song. It's like Sare Jahan Se Acha Hindustan Hamara, and you will be singing that all through, wherever you are.
Very well put. That was very well put. And all the parents out there, now that gives you a little access to Meenakshi madam's journey and the reasons for her success. And I read somewhere that a learner, a learner who is a lifelong learner, that learner always has a child within them that always brings the joy up, to the surface. So all the parents out there, though you might be at different positions, different designations, you will be doing very well for yourself. But remember, when your kids, they see you as a continuous learner, as an ongoing learner, as Madam said, that role modeling is something that takes place at home. When they see you as a role model who is continuously learning, they'll also pick that from you. And Madam, we're very happy to hear about your journey and the inputs that you gave. We had different acronyms by the end of it that we came out with. It can be a AAA battery, it can be a farm, FARM, and so many others. And all the parents out there, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. The juice is in the implementation of what you picked up. Just a couple of ideas, a couple of changes if you make, you will see that your child, your son or your daughter, in a different light. And when you help them with small little changes, as Madam says that, it's not the, monumental change, it's the incremental change that really counts. So we really look forward that you making a change in your style of parenting and making your place and your child a happy, successful, and a good human being. Madam, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was indeed a pleasure having you aboard on this episode, and the way you gave the answers, that touched my heart. Thank you very much for the same.
Thank you, Kamalneet, and I think I too enjoyed. But it always happens that at the end of the conversation, you feel I could have said this, I could have said that, but life is like that. I could have and would have is always there. It's a component. But I wish you all the best in whatever ambitions you have and the goals you have. And this is how children also should set small interim goals for them, and that will only make them take a step forward and achieve those goals. As whether it is, as I told you, it could be opening the tap, closing it tightly without even a drop leaking. That also lends a lot of component to saving your water, the planet. That little messages, if that could be sent, I think nowhere you will find anybody irresponsible in our country. All will be so much responsible. And from where this starts, it starts from within. Whether I'm a parent or a teacher or a journalist, it doesn't really matter. As an individual, if I can create this with people around me, spread the joy, that enthusiasm, and I think that is how the world will really run through, and they'll be able to scream up and hold the rainbows in their hands. And that's it. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.